When you first get your Seint makeup with me and you're just getting started, you will have 4 skin colors, maybe 5 if you choose the illuminator. So this is how we get a 3D face. We build light and shadows, just as if you were going to paint a portrait or a sphere, you would want lights and shadows to make everything pop, and we want the same thing for our face. We don't want a flat 2D pancake sheet of paper like traditional foundation. So out of the 4 colors, you're going to have one that's the lighter color. That's your brightening highlight. Your brightening highlight is going to be on light accents towards the center of your face, and it is also going to work like your concealer. The main highlight, this one's going to be a few shades darker, and that's going to be like your foundation. You don't have to put it everywhere like you would a liquid foundation. We call it a highlight because with the creams, they're very concentrated, and you just have to put it where you need it. So if you're just wanting to cover some redness or some spots and you don't want it everywhere, then you can just put it where you need it. If you want it everywhere, that's fine too. Creams are buildable, so you can have a really light look or you can have a heavier full coverage look. The one that's kind of an ashy brown, that is going to be your contour color. And that's going to help sculpt your face and add the shadows. It's going to round it out, make features pop, lift your cheeks, lift your jawline. It can slim your face. It can make a large forehead or chin look a little smaller. Same with the nose, and it adds to that 3D effect. And then you're going to have one that's really warm, and that's the bronzer. Just like young skin, even if you're a cool tone, bronzer adds life. And as we get older, we need it more and more, even if you have silver hair. Because as we get older, our skin thins and all of those cooler colors, the blues and the purples, kind of bubble up to the surface and we lose warmth. So adding in the bronzer adds it back in. The illuminator it comes in various different colors. You could have a cream or a powder. The powders are kind of like disco ball, work great as eyeshadows as well. And then the creams are much softer. It's going to be the little shine accents that are the cherry on top. And then I have my lip and cheek color, doubles as both. So we'll start at the top. We'll start with the brightening highlight, the lighter one. And the only area that I have already done that I haven't shown you is I always put it on my entire eye area. That's even if I'm not going to be wearing eyeshadow to prime your eyes. So this brightening highlight, like I said, it adds brightening accents in the middle of your face. So between the brows, which is commonly where a lot of women have a pink or a redness, under your eyes to cover any under eye darkness that you have there, down the bridge of your nose just to add kind of a little highlight and make your nose pop, here in the Cupid's bow and at the top of the ball of my chin. I like using our detail brush to blend that out. Let's use the main highlight, which is the one that's a few shades darker, and that's the one that's going to act like my foundation. I put my main highlight on the areas of my face that I want to even out the skin tone, because most people go too heavy. We are used to watered down, thinned out liquid foundation. Creams are very condensed, so a little bit goes a long way. And then as it melts into your skin, it's going to spread even farther, kind of like butter. So I have it around my jawline, so it kind of blends into my neck. I've got it on my cheeks, on my forehead, and along my temples, and on my nose, but I didn't cover the areas where I already added the brightening highlight. So this is my main highlight. The brush that you use will very much depend on your skin, on the condition of your skin, on what you're trying to cover, what kind of coverage you want. And so when I color match you, I'll let you know the perfect brush for you. My favorite for my skin, and I kind of jump around depending on the look and what I'm looking for, but right now is the blush and bronzer brush. Next is the contour. That's the ashier brown color that is going to sculpt and chisel my face and give me a lift. So just like if I were painting a portrait or an apple, I'm going to add shadows around the edges of my face to round it out. I'm going to contour my nose a little to make it pop, and I'm going to contour my cheeks to give myself a lift. You can use your fingers with this. In fact, you can use your fingers with any of these, but I feel like the most airbrushed best look is going to be with brushes. My favorite for using with the contour is our 3D brush. So this is my contour, and on my nose, some people use their fingers or some of our other brushes. My favorite for my nose contour is our multitasker brush, and I use it also to add under my bottom lip. Favorite to blend this out is the 3D brush. And to blend out my nose contour where I don't mess it up, then I like to go back to this detail brush. Typically, I wait to do my nose contour until I've already done my bronzer across the center of my face. I like to do the bronzer because I like to put it on the tip of my nose and I don't want to have to worry about messing up my contour. Same thing with my cheeks. I like to bronze the apples of my cheeks and I don't want to mess up my cheek contour. I usually bronze the center of my face before I contour there. And I'm not trying to erase. Most people overblend. Most people either don't use enough contour because they're afraid, or they overblend it to where it completely disappears. And you lay those lines for a reason, so you don't want them to disappear. So you just want to kind of dab and feather and blur until it kind of disappears in your skin and just looks like a natural shadow. Now, I usually leave my cheek ones darker because by the time you add the blush, it's all going to marry together. So don't overblend. And then the super warm one is our bronzer color. It adds life. We have 5 different bronzers. Bella is probably my favorite, although I do love the others, and it's just magic. So I put my bronzer in many of the same spots that I did contour. They are going to accentuate and help round that out and accentuate the 3D effect, just like the contour did. And so I put it on the top of my forehead where the sun would naturally shine and naturally give me a little bit of a suntan anyway. Same with the tips of my nose and the apples of my cheeks. And then just to kind of marry everything together so everything's balanced out, I go ahead and put it on my jawline as well. The brush that is made to work with our bronzer and what I feel is very best with our bronzer is the blush and bronzer brush, same one that I used for my main highlight, and I'm going to use that to kind of buff and polish my face into this warm glow. You can go light with it or you can go heavy. It's perfect. It's like a stain of color and it just melts into your skin like a natural suntanned glow. Even women with really dark skin tones can wear bronzer. We have other bronzers that work well with those skin tones, so bronzer is good for everyone. I usually circle the tip of my nose, but again, I went ahead and did my nose contour so that you could see all of it together. And then I circle it on the apples of my cheeks. And a lot of people, our necks are lighter than our faces. And so if you want to kind of marry everything together, you can just take your brush and kind of marry that down a little. I have some gals who love the bronzer so much that they even bronze their neck and chest with it. I'm going to put my lip and cheek color on before my illuminator, and I'm going to use that same brush. This is the blush and bronzer brush, and this is perfect for it. I'm going to put it starting at about the end of my apples and kind of dot and move that back. You don't want to smear it all around like you do with powder blush because it makes it way too large and it can kind of overblend on our glosses. And then I just tap, 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 tap. And angle that back and upwards towards my hairline. If I get a little too much, I just flip over the other end and blend it back a little. And the cherry on top illuminator is going to go right at this top middle section of my cheeks to kind of give it that extra glow as I move my face. You can put it on your Cupid's bow. You can put it down the center of your lips. And I like to put a little bit on the center of the diamond that I made for my nose contour. And that is a quick, easy 3D face.